Episode 3, Le Pen. Hey Nurse Ratchet, I want to know. Yes I do, if you can bust my chops. I am sure you can, and that you will. I will continue the story of a man that I once crossed paths with briefly. I never did learn his name, but he helped me out of a big mess once. He helped me a lot, that's for sure. So I suppose this is payback. I am the only one who knows his story. We got to shoot in the breeze for a while. I won't tell you where, so you will be asking, why am I telling the story as him? That's complicated, but then again, so was he. They said it wasn't a penitentiary, but they sure locked the doors at night. They made sure we were all there, barbed wire on top of the security fence. You had to sign in and out at the deception desk, as I called it. The deceptionist was a real piece of work. A black skirt with a perfectly ironed crease, blouse buttoned way lower than it should be, but she wasn't any lady. Maybe outside she was a decent joint of meat, but in here she was one of them. We might be rabid dogs in here, but this scraggly end of lamb kebab did nothing for us, not even as a decent-looking dame to look at. She had smiled once years ago, but didn't like it. She never tried it again. She was as useful as a dangleberry on a wild goat to us inmates. No sense of humour, no personality, and no purpose in life. Perfect for the role. Just throw her a dime to chew on and don't ask any questions. A proper no mark. She should go far in this joint. She was christened Cruella de Vil by the boys. They weren't wrong. It sounds like we are being tough on this broad. She's only putting bread on the table for her brood, but you have to understand it from our point of view. She is one of them. Not a penitentiary. Bullshit. I was put in a sanatorium in my late teens after leaving more than one school. That was different. It was all a big mistake. Pure discombobulation, so they made out. But anyway, it had nothing on this place. I was in secure accommodation, but I got my meals, pocket money, relative freedom, and I didn't have to wear no goddamn Ponzi silk tie and dress shoes. I got my medication each night at 10, 7 tablets, 2 for pain, 2 to stop dark thoughts, 2 to help me sleep, and 1 to stop my body gyrating like Elvis Presley. But I got my own room, and none of the bums bothered me on account of my reputation. I was cuckoo, off the wall. Not always, but if a door opened in my motel that I didn't like, I could easily lose it. Not as often now because of that no-mark Nurse Ratchet, but it still happened. There were 6 wardens that worked in shifts of 2. 3 were bald or balding. I won't tell you their names. You don't need to know. They liked a quiet life. If we played the game, they didn't bust our chops. They didn't appreciate any drama, no paperwork. These guys had been in the service too long to want to mess with their pensions. They were seeing out time just like some of us dummies. We would play ball. Most of the time. It was still us and them though, and we all knew it. The only time they were on the ball was when Nurse Ratchet was on the ward. Shirts buttoned way up to the top, ward spotless, television off. We would each try for small victories when we could. It don't work any other way. Us and them, the Romans and the barbarians, guess who was who? Illegitimi non carborundum, as they say. Anyway, Susie Izzard was on the TV in the common room at an art show. We didn't get a great choice of channels, and not a great picture, but better than Harry Hee Haw. So I blew the wardens a line. Look at this bombshell. What a dame. She's got balls to talk the way she did. She looks like she has got experience on the other side of the tracks, if you know what I mean. She is a ringer for her brother Eddie. He is a funny guy, a real wisecracker. What a top-drawer dame his sister was. They don't seem to get on. You never see the two of them together. They say she would turn tricks for a dime for the right guy, and she knows what a guy wants. The wardens bought it all, hook, line and sinker, cheering at old Susie. Up there for dancing, down there for brains, if you know what I mean. A small victory chalked on the board. They could take her on a date and talk about anything that pops up, if you catch my drift. 2 points barbarians, 0 points the Romans. I will lock this in the victory room at the motel to enjoy later. One good thing I do remember was a touring quack, Professor Rose, a real hotshot. Professor Rose came to work with us inmates. He was fighting a losing battle with old NR from day one. Nurse Ratchet had called him a snake oil salesman before he even arrived. He wore a polo shirt with no tie, casual trainers, and chinos. I knew that poked NR in both eyes. Steve wanted us to express our feelings through art. He showed us his picture and what it meant to him, what it represented. Not the usual bullshit, but something different, something new, useful. I liked the picture I made, and he liked it too. He really did. I still have it somewhere. It made sense to me. My picture was of the silk tie, dress shoes, and my meds on the steps of a rundown motel. Steve liked it. I liked it. It sang to me. Mind snaps, that's what he called it. No long chats, just short instructions and suggestions with a smile and light in his eyes. And best of all, we could spark a snout whenever we chose. A hot poker up the ass of old Ratchet, and no mistake. NR had his number all right. She gritted her teeth for a week. This was her ward, and no desk jockey hotshot was going to lay down roots here. So he was the hide yin for a week. El Duce, the boss. We called him Steve, and he worked his magic his way. Yes, he did. Right under NR's nose. Then he blew out of town with his notes and NR's ass in a glass. I don't know who this made happier, NR or Professor Rose. He never blew back in. A good guy. He was one of them. But I don't think that they were on his wavelength. He was spitting into the wind with these dinosaurs, ain't that the truth? They probably tied him up in the trunk of a car and buried that dude in the desert. They really would have. NR could have learned so much from Stevie Boy if she wasn't such a backwards-facing bitch. Old NR preferred sessions where we chatted, bullshit, inane nonsense. One such session, we had to talk about pets of the past or pets of the future and how they could help if we ever left the pen for good. We went around the circle. Dogs, cats, rabbits, birds, etc. Even a horse. No imagination. When it came to me, I chose a disingenuous aardvark. Old NR was worried. You could see it in her eyes. There was no way out of this for her, so she asked me why, hesitantly. It would be sly, thick-skinned, slow, and every time I saw it, I would kick it up the ass, because it reminded me of you. One of the wardens burst out laughing with the rest of the guys. He would regret that. He would be cleaning the johns all week. Old NR fumed. She had dug a hole and couldn't get out. I thought my ass would be out the window for that one, but I guess they have a duty of care on account of my condition and all. So I was confined to barracks for a week and my allowance frozen for the same time. But it was worth it. She had lost face. I locked this in the victory room with the others while NR plotted my demise. I had to get a way out soon. I had feathers tickling a few ideas at the moment, but time was running down fast. Something I forgot to tell you. Another one of my little quirks. I like to drop a small raw potato into a non-attended shoe now and again. Don't ask me why, I just enjoy it. It started at a PE class at school years ago. I had been sent back to get changed early as I was ruining the game for the other guys or some other bullshit thing. In the corridor, next to a trash can, was a potato. Don't ask me why, but I picked it up. I thought I might throw it at the staff room window or something. But in the changing room, I dropped it in one of the shoes besides the lockers. I don't know who owned the shoe, it just seemed like a good idea, an impulse. I dropped it in and left. Since then, the habit has stuck with me. It was my secret calling card, my black spot. I have done it a couple of times in the pen, but nobody has fingered me for it. I would just hear, "Which one of you bums put a spud in my boot?" It gives me a kick now and then, I guess. One day old NR would get a veg surprise in one of her loafers and never know why. Just a habit not to be overused. And I never do it to the window lickers. That wouldn't be right. In the evenings, we would be rostered for a job to do. One of them was sweeping the kitchen. I was in the kitchen often, as I have my own cutlery. The ones the pen supplies, the prongs are too long, plus the handles have ornate mouldings on them. I hate long prongs on forks, so I use my own, plain stainless steel with short prongs. I have always hated the feel of long prongs in my mouth. Every night I clean my cutlery and lock it away so no other jerk can use them. This was my opportunity to grab one raw spud if I needed one. I would never use it that night, but I would use it at any opportunity that arose, in the pen or in Civvy Street. So that's the pen. A room for the night, 7 nights a week, breakfast and dinner. There is no dinner bell, but the guys start migrating to the dinner hall bang on cue. It's like watching a herd of cows meandering to milking at the same time every day. And just as bright. Old N.R. could have put cowbells around their necks. She really could have. Apart from that, my time was my own, as long as I followed my obligations and bowed to old wicked witch N.R. As I needed time to think, I made it work, for the moment, and with a sprinkling of victories here and there.
You've been listening to Motel Disco Mbob. If you enjoyed tonight's story, follow the podcast and share it with someone who loves mystery and suspense. You can also subscribe on Substack for new episodes, behind the scenes notes and exclusive content. Until next time, drive carefully. If you ever see the Motel Disco Mbob sign glowing in the darkness, you may already be too late.
Hey Nurse Ratchet, I want to know. Yes I do, if you can bust my chops. I am sure you can, and that you will.